Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we have this 2017 Toyota Highlander and we're going to do the Taillight Tint installation for this vehicle. So this is how it looks before doing the installation, and this is how it looks after the installation. So the tint has PPF properties, which means it will protect the lenses from yellowing over time, as well as protect it from any small scratches or any road debris that might hit the lens. Link for the product will be down in the description below, but with that being said, let's get started with the installation video. So the tools you need in order to install the tint kit will be Slip Solution, Tack Solution, a heat gun, squeegee, and a microfiber towel. And a step-by-step guide in order to create the two solutions will be in the description below. So before starting the installation, we want to make sure we clean the lens. So all I'm doing is just applying Slip Solution onto the lens and then using my microfiber towel to remove any contaminants that the lens might have. So for this installation, we're going to start off with the bottom section first. So we're just applying Slip Solution onto the lens and onto our tint as well. And we want to start off by aligning it to this edge first. And the film is going to overlap to the upper portion of the tail light, but that should be fine. Just make sure that this section here is aligned, and underneath as well that it is aligned. Now the next thing to do is apply tack solution underneath the film and on top. That way we start tacking this section down. Okay, now that we have this piece tacked down, all we have to do is make sure everything else is aligned. And we just help the film tack down to this curve right here. So all we need to do is apply tack solution underneath, and then we could use our fingers to help the tint curve down here to the tail light. And you just make your way to this end, and then once you get here, you just help it tack down as well to this edge. Now that we have most of it tacked down, we could use heat. That way we help the adhesive activate, and it helps us secure the film to this curve here. Okay, before we move on to the next installation, we want to make sure that there's no air bubbles or any water bubbles behind the film, and making sure that the film stays tacked down here. Once we ensure everything is good to go, now we can move on to the next installation. So now we move on to the next installation. So just apply Slip Solution on top of the lens and on your film. And then with this one, we're going to align it on this edge first. So now that we ensured that it's aligned here and on top as well, we work our way to that end. But before that, we want to tack down this section first. That way when we stretch the film, this film doesn't move from here. Okay, now that we have this section tacked down, all we're going to do is just help the film stretch until we meet it up to the edge here and on this edge here. So just stretch. Once you stretch, then meet it to the edge, apply tack solution, and just start tacking everything down. And then for this section right here, there is going to be a cutout towards the end. So just help the film curve to this side piece first, and then tack it down on the top piece. And the two films are going to overlap just a bit, but just make sure each side is tacked down. And then once you have everything tacked down, the last thing to do is just apply tack solution all around and remove any small fingers that are appearing on the edge of the tint. Okay, so now we move on with this bottom piece here. So to start off the installation, apply Slip Solution onto the lens and onto the tint as well. And with this one, you are going to see that the film has a cutout here. So the first step to do is to align it right on the cutout on this design of the tail light. Once you align it, everything should fall into place, but just double check and ensure that everything is aligned. So this part is good, and this section should be good too. Once you have it aligned, the next thing you need to do is tack it down. Use your tack solution to start helping the adhesive on the back of the film tacking down to the lens. And then before we move on to the next installation, we want to make sure we seal the top edge because the film is going to overlap on top of this film. So we're just going to apply tack solution on top to seal the edges. Tack solution. And you could also use your microfiber towel to help absorb any solution that's on the back of the film. Okay, now that we insert the bottom piece, now we can move on with the other installation. So now we move on to the middle section of the tail light. So just apply slip solution onto the lens and onto the tint as well. And with this one, you want to start off by aligning it to this edge first. Once you have it aligned here, now we tack this section down because we need to secure this piece in order to stretch the film going that way. So just lift the film and apply tack solution and start tacking down this whole section here. For this part here, if you are having trouble tacking down the film because of the curve, you can apply tack solution and heat to help the tint tack down to the curve here. Okay, now that we secured this piece, now we move on to this middle section here. This piece right here, it is a little difficult to work with because the tail light itself does have this curve here. So in order to work around this curve, what we're gonna need to do is stretch the film first until it reaches to this edge here. So in order to do that, we're gonna need to apply slip solution onto the film and to the lens so we could be able to stretch it. And then make sure this area is dry. And then just stretch until you have it right on the edge here. And make sure while you're stretching, everything is still aligned here. The film does overlap here, like I mentioned earlier. So that's why we sealed this bottom piece first. So it is gonna overlap. Keep it in place. And we're just gonna tack down little by little here. And then once we get to the curved part here, we're gonna need to apply tack solution and heat to help the tint tack down to the curve here. Okay, now that we tacked down this piece, like I said, now the next thing is applying tack solution here and heat right on top. That way we start tacking down the film to the curve here. So as you can see, after we applied the heat and started tagging it down, the film started molding to the curve here. And you just rinse and repeat until you feel that the film has tacked down to the tail light. And now that we have this piece secured, now we can start squeegeeing out the rest of the water and tacking down the rest of the film. Okay, now the last thing to do once we finish squeegeeing the film, now it's just removing any small fingers that the film might have. So any fingers on top or on the bottom here, just apply your tack solution. And then with the microfiber towel and a heat gun and your squeegee, just help remove the fingers little by little. And then you just rinse and repeat until you remove all of the fingers. So for this last piece here, apply slip solution onto the lens and onto the tint as well. And then start by aligning it to this edge first. And everything should just fall into place. Just make sure you start off from this end and have it aligned right here. Once it's good to go, apply tack solution on top and underneath the film. That way as you're tacking down, the adhesive starts to activate and it sticks better to the lens. Once you get to this piece here, you can do the same thing that we did for this section here. Just apply tack solution and heat just to help the film tack down to this curve here. Okay, and before we completely seal this piece off, just make sure you remove any solution that's behind the film. Okay, and the last thing to do is just applying tack solution and heat underneath here. And that way the film starts to seal and it doesn't lift over time. Okay, so the last thing to do once we finish with the whole installation is just applying tack solution all around and then using your microfiber towel to post heat all around and making sure we secure anywhere where we overlap the film and around the edges. That way we ensure that the film does not lift over time. Okay, so that concludes the installation video for the Taillight tints for the 2017 Toyota Highlander. We hope that this video helped you guys out with the installation. Don't forget to give the video a like, make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you don't miss any upcoming installation videos. Thank you for watching and we'll see you on the next one.